The origins of Western civilization. The phenomenon of Western civilization is a matter of major dispute. On the one hand, it has many pull factors: the freedom of expression, advanced science and art, high living standards and ample opportunities for self-realization. This is what people who immigrate to the West seek, though they do not always find it. On the other hand, despite all the declarations, things are not as they seem. The sought freedom is often a fiction, and many social processes promote spiritual degradation in the population, something that comes from the Iranian administration. At this point, we will leave politics behind. There are more than enough relevant case studies. What is worth noticing is the concept of an ideal developed and free society as opposed to its utterly distorted version implemented by Iran on the physical plane. When describing something created by Iran, it stands to mention that this constellation is the domain of reptilians and greys. Reptilian worlds bear little resemblance to those of humans, whereas greys are essentially AI-controlled robots. The lack of creativity prevents them from inventing things. Now the question is, what is the source of their innovativeness? The answer is that almost everything the Orionians created, on Earth or elsewhere, is based on the achievements of other civilizations, which they distorted for their purposes. The same goes for the model of the West. Its prototype is a highly developed civilization in another star system. Its coordinates can only be found on subtle planes, because this star system is not visible from Earth, and the dimension of its location slightly differs from ours. Let us take, for example, one of the features of Western civilization, so-called democracy, in which people have the authority to choose their government. Even if it were not for electoral fraud and other unlawful actions, in its earthly form it would be far from unbiased, as the majority of people know nothing about politics. As a result, it is all about advertising and brainwashing techniques. How is democracy implemented in the prototype of Western civilization? They have an equivalent of elections, but it is not reduced to putting a cross next to the candidate, and the candidates themselves are not advertised either. On a designated day, each person can submit in writing all their preferences regarding the state's government, the course of development, what they like and what they do not. Then this information is processed with the help of magic technologies that work with the information field and mental structures. Of course, it is impossible to process everything manually. The results show what most people like and dislike, what they are currently interested in and what is not of primary importance. After that, a member of the government who has shown the best performance in the areas of the people's interest is elected. Western countries on Earth present themselves as peacemakers and encourage pacifist movements, but this is just a cover for their aggressive goals. In the prototype civilization, there were no wars and almost no signs of duality. Of course, throughout history that planet had to defend itself from attacks. They had to build a space fleet, an army of battle mages and much more. However, they never showed outward aggression nor felt the temptation to use the weapons out of vested interest, though it may seem naive and fantastical to Earthlings. Likewise for other areas, although the original civilization has high technologies and may look rather urban, all their technology works by magic. They grow houses using special magical practices rather than building them with machines. Their transport runs on the etheric energy, and their analog of the computer works using the mental abilities of people. In other words, they are free from technocracy and AI. the destruction of nature, a huge amount of waste and other disadvantages of a technical civilization. As for the spirituality, they have a wide variety of spiritual schools and practices for everyone to choose. The government authorities, which consist of self-aware and highly experienced incarnations of higher beings, only see to it that these teachings do not misrepresent the picture of the world. But there is no universal religious cult or tradition that is obligatory to everybody. On earth, this concept is also distorted. On the one hand, we have a huge number of sects, and on the other, people are discouraged from spiritual development at all. This civilization has never been in contact with the earth throughout history, but in the future, after the purification of reality, their achievements can be implemented to replace the distorted Western models of social government. Translated by Kira Gradova.